at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look now and take some time for hemp. I don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yeah, it's time for hemp. Oh, an acre of hemp makes 20 barrels of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, right now it's time for hemp.
Thank you for taking Time for Hemp. I'm your host, Casper Leitch. You are listening on Time for Hemp on Tumblr, SoundCloud, iTunes, and, of course, iHeartRadio. We are the only 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week broadcasting network that is all cannabis all the time on iHeartRadio. And we are no longer just a 1-hour program, but a team of people who are broadcasting the importance of the need to end prohibition. It is Tuesday, and on Tuesday we like to celebrate all the amazing, hardworking activists up in Canada. Big thank you to KDK Distributors for giving us a grant to keep us loud, proud, and strong. I want to remind you, if you go to the timeforhemp.com website, on the home page, there's a little player there where you can listen to some groovy stuff, one of which is how to get a free vaporizer from KDK Distributors. And we'll also be hearing about that here on the big program today, because KDK Distributor founder Kelly Kristen is our joint host. And don't forget, anytime you hear the word joint on the Big Joint broadcast, nearly 2.5 million people all around the world pack their bongs, their pipes, their vaporizers, and, of course, twist up a joint to take Time for Hemp. With that said, let me get on to my joint host so we can have a joint chat with our joint guest here on the Big Joint broadcast at Time for Hemp. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Casper. How you doing today?
Very groovy, thank you.
Yeah, it's a great day here. It's 22, going to be 22 all week, 22 Celsius, that is.
What does that turn out to in Fahrenheit? Is that warm?
Oh, I don't know. It's got to be in the 70s somewhere.
Wow, in Canada, no snow and the 70s? That's remarkable. You guys got a 3-day weekend as well?
Last weekend, yes, was our, we celebrate what we call Queen Victoria Day, which is a far-removed queen from a few generations ago that we still celebrate her birthday, even though she's passed a long time ago. But we thank her for the holiday. It was on Monday, and a few of us here from KDK went out camping for the weekend. We had a great time. It was outstanding.
That's cool. They got a Queen Victoria Day in San Francisco, but I think it's a whole different thing.
I believe it would be, yes.
But they do celebrate a far-removed queen. Anyway, and our joint host today and I are having a great joint chat with a hard-working joint activist. His name is Ben Fudge. Yes, that is his name, Ben Fudge. He's a real sweet guy. Ark, ark, ark. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning. How are you?
Pretty groovy. And I'm going to let you and Kelly get better acquainted on the air, but I also understand that you have been active in the marijuana movement for at least 2 days. So how long have you been doing this?
Yeah, about 9-10 years. Yeah.
Good golly.
10 years ago, I went to my first global marijuana march, and I saw in Toronto thousands of people all around me smoking weed, and the cops weren't doing anything, and it was so peaceful and so nice and no violence, and just the vibe. I was like, wow, I can't believe this. I got to bring one of these to my hometown and start this up in Oshawa. So I did. 7 years ago, the first Oshawa Cannabis Day. We're on our 7th year this year.
Wow.
So we're not quite as big as the events in Toronto. We're making it. We get about 500 people.
That's awesome. Sometimes we don't get that here in Calgary. It's crazy. It sort of depends on the weather. Usually that day it's still cool here and can be rainy or can be snowy or even hail for that matter. And we've had turnouts that high or maybe slightly higher, but that's awesome for you. You must do some good work out there.
Yeah, well, you know what? 420 is cold. April 20th, it's usually rainy, chilly, bad weather. And then the Global Marijuana March is usually the first Saturday in May. And then so I figured all this stuff is going on out in Toronto. I did Oshawa Cannabis Day for July 1st. There's other cannabis days that happen around Canada on July 1st, eh? So I figured I'll do the July 1st one because nothing's going on out in Toronto. And then I get these Toronto activists come all the way into Oshawa. Some of these people, you see them at every event, right? You see them at 420. You see them at the Global Marijuana March. You see them at Oshawa Cannabis Day. You see them at the Marijuana Expo. You just run into them everywhere. Like, you know what I mean? If you go to these things, you start to recognize and get to know people.
Yeah, definitely.
I guess that's what we call the marijuana community.
Well, we call that a pot party here in America.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah, no worries. Like I say, that's a pretty awesome turnout. So, what are things like in Oshawa? I can't say that I have been there in recent history. You got any vapor lounges, compassion clubs, anything like that?
No, nothing like that. It's nothing like Toronto. Oshawa is somewhat of a big city on the outside, just outside of Toronto. But
Right.
The police here are brutal. Our police force is known for being brutal and violent and really not really very compassionate when it comes to, cannabis or anything like that. So we don't have any compassion clubs, no vapor lounges, no anything. And I think maybe that's a little bit of an accessibility issue. Like, when I joined onto the committee a few years back, I was using a wheelchair and I had 2 canes, and I was having a hard time getting around, right? I was a lot heavier. I was 80 pounds heavier, and I was killing my back. I had a back injury when I was a kid. I got run over by a truck, and many surgeries on my hips and my back and my legs, right? So it causes great pain. So when I'm in the wheelchair and I'm using the cannabis, I was right out in front of my city hall. I had a security guard come out and put me in a headlock and try to wrestle me, detain me. And he detained me there until the police came. The cops came, and big scene about a guy in a wheelchair using his medicine. Right? Didn't get charged, obviously, but it made the newspaper, and the art gallery banned me. The security guard came out from the art gallery, so then they said I wasn't allowed to go back into the art gallery ever again. Kind of like, I think it's kind of like discrimination against a person's medicine.
100%.
You know what? I'm going to bring this to city council, and I'm going to bring this to the committee, and if our city here is really, going to sing the song that we want Oshawa to be accessible for everyone, and everybody is welcome, and there's no more marginalization of anybody. You can't marginalize people for the medicine either. And you know what? Our city council, after bringing the issue to them over and over and over, I think they're a little sympathetic and they understand a little more now. They're actually willing to talk.
Yeah, that's awesome. Publicity usually does that. It sort of makes them at least talk anyhow. And obviously there are still a large amount of people out there that are uncomfortable with cannabis. And, that's fine. I like to believe we can, as adults in a democratic country, we can make choices that on our own and have our own opinions and all that kind of stuff. But when you are in influence, you have to be open to both sides. You have to have an open mind, regardless of the issue, whether it's cannabis or construction-related or noise-related or anything that's, civic or politicians' stuff that they have to deal with. They have to be open to listening to both sides of every issue that's brought before them. Whether they do or not, I mean, you can have your own opinions and you can have that kind of stuff, but you have to be able to have discussion and at least mediate or certainly allow the public to speak or whatever and let them know how they feel.
Yeah. It's good to understand that not everybody is going to have your opinion, and it's okay. It's okay if we all think,
Yeah,
don't shoot
me or hate me because I have a different opinion than you do.
Yeah. So, the first Oshawa Cannabis Day, about 7 years ago, we only got about 35 people, and it was small. They were mostly all med users. I got a bunch of friends from the community that I knew from the different events that I'd been going to, and mostly people in wheelchairs, canes, old ladies, old men. We're all sitting on the grass on little blankets and everything. We're puffing, and the cops filled the park. They had like a tactical squad. They had like these riot shields and everything for like 35 disabled people and old people sitting on the grass smoking weed. That was the first Oshawa Cannabis Day. And they came to the park and they said, "You guys got 10 minutes to get out of this park." And so we sort of complied at the time. We didn't want to get our faces kicked in by the cops. So we all packed up and we carried our signs. We had protest signs like, free the weed and can we all get a bong or whatever, right? We carried our signs down to our local MP's office, which is just down the street a bit. And we stood around in front of his office for a bit on public property. They said we weren't allowed to gather in the park. And they basically dispersed us. And they sent letters. I don't know if you guys know who Allison Merton is. She's another big activist.
Yeah, she's been on the show.
Yeah. Well, I invited Allison to come speak at Cannabis Day. And another friend of mine, Marko Ivančičević, and a few of the other activists from around the area here. And the police went to their homes and gave them cease and desist letters and said, if you come to Oshawa, you're going to be charged with trespassing or whatever. So that was, Allison called me and she's like, "Ben, I can't come. The police are going to charge me if I come to Oshawa." She's like, "And I just don't want the hassle." No, honestly, sick people don't want to get beat up by the cops. So even though the cops can't really do this stuff, their intimidation and their presence and their constant persistiveness makes it makes an inconvenience for sick people, and you can't. It's hard to get them out. Even though, we can gather in a park, we have the right to gather, we have the right to assembly, we have the right to association, but when the cops come, everybody just scatters and runs. I'm like, "No, guys, stay," and try to run away.
Is it fairly conservative in Oshawa? I mean, we have sort of a similar kind of setup here in Calgary. Everybody's a little bit concerned about, about all that stuff that goes on, of course, and when the police come. And, we used to have a fairly large police presence at the marijuana marches. And unfortunately, this is the first year that I've missed. I don't know if there was much of a police presence there this year, but last year there was none. Absolutely none. And in years previous, an amazing show of force, shall I say, and they were videotaping all of us, and it's just, it was brutal.
See, when they do that, if you're trying to have an event and you want to sort of have a protest day, there's a lot of positive things that come out of that. Because we're networking, we're finding each other. This stuff is not easy. There's some things that we need, some supplies, some medicines, bongs, papers, whatever we need. It's all hard to find. We gather and we can find resources and get seeds or clones or, help each other with the equipment that we need. That's where it's good to get out there into a park and just sit on the grass and talk to people who are going through what you're going through. A lot of benefits to that. But I think the cops can just fuck it all up just by standing there. It makes everybody run away.
Yeah, their presence sometimes certainly can be very intimidating, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I know.
You can't get your numbers up. I'm trying to get 1,000 people to come. Nobody wants to come because they heard about what happened last year with all the cops and everything.
Right.
One year they came into the park. They just stormed in and started grabbing people. It was the third year in, the third Oshawa Cannabis Day. The cops were all by the side of the park, not doing much. We're doing our thing, and it seemed like, I don't know, they had a cue, something instant. They just started walking in, just grabbing people and arresting people. And 3 kids got arrested. then the next year after that, people are like, I'm not going to that Oshawa Cannabis Day. I'm going to get arrested.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you bet. It would certainly send that message.
Yeah. Freaky, but, we're still going to do it. We're not going to, I guess...
Well, that's the whole thing. There's no reason why we shouldn't do it, and I commend you for just going and doing it, because that's where, it's our right, actually, to do that. And I know here, of course, there are, I don't know what's required, but something has to be done in order for the event to happen. There is paperwork or a permit or, something like that has to happen.
Well, they said to me, the City Hall says to me, if you're going to have an event, you have to go through the event planning process, and we're going to send you the information. Okay, so I bring it up on my computer. It says, okay, this pamphlet here is to help maximize your planning experience. Like, maximize my planning experience? I actually want to minimize this planning experience. Like, I don't need all this paperwork. Honestly, so I said to them at City Hall, I said, I'm not filling out the paperwork. I said, it's a protest. I said, we have the right to protest. And so we're guaranteed that right in the charter. And in the charter, it doesn't say, you have the right to protest if you fill out the paperwork first. Yeah. No, you have the right to protest. So, no paperwork. I'm not doing that. Right. I'm going in there. I go in there respectfully, calm and normal. I'm a respectable person. I have good demeanor. I go and talk to the mayor. I say, it's going to be Saturday. It's usually the first Saturday in July I do it, right? I go in there and say, it's going to be Saturday, July 4th. It's the same as last year. I say to the mayor, you know what? I hope the police can be like they were last year and just stay off to the side and not arrest anybody, because, if we can just go without incident, I think it's better. The mayor kind of agrees. He doesn't want everything hit in the newspaper. Why does he want marijuana in the newspaper? He'd rather keep it all quiet too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to say that it'd be nice if it was in the paper, but I don't want to see kids getting arrested just so that it gets in the paper. You know what I mean?
Of course. Yeah. Oh, but it still needs to be out there. It needs to be said. And
so we've come a long way in Oshawa from finding out who's going to come talk about marijuana and sending cease and desist orders hand-delivered by the police. That's the first Oshawa Cannabis Day. Now Oshawa has a medical marijuana working group that works with City Council. We actually go in there and talk to them. We had a special City Council meeting dedicated to medical marijuana. Me and my colleague Marco went in and we gave them the history of the MMAR, what was happening before the MMAR, what's happening up until now. You guys know about the MMAR? Yes. Medical marijuana access regulations. We had it for a while, and everybody was getting these cards from the government, and then they got backed up on the paperwork. They stopped sending the cards. Then they stopped sending the licenses. And then they said, well, we're going to scrap this system completely. So it's gone. So now the new system is completely confusing for everyone, and nobody knows how to get legalized anymore. And we're still just sort of waiting for this Allard trial. You guys heard about that down there?
Yes. I remember you. Are you familiar with it, Casper?
No, I haven't. And maybe our audience members haven't either, so you might want to go ahead and detail it just a little bit.
Yeah, there's a case in court right now, and we're waiting for
the decision, right? We have had final arguments, correct? Is my understanding that final arguments have been delivered and that we're just waiting on the decision now?
Yeah, we're just waiting for the decision, so just the waiting game now. But I hear that we did really good, and that the issues have come up about patients' right to grow, because we were allowed to grow, then they took that right away again. And I think that what they're arguing in the court is that takes away people's reasonable access to a what's the word I'm looking for? Affordable medicine. If you're going to start charging people $10, $15 a gram for a medicine that they need maybe sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 grams a day, how's anybody ever going to afford to survive, live on? But they could grow a plant in their own backyard and grow it for free. So there's their affordable medicine. And you take that away from people. You're taking away the right to live free. So, if it's going to help them cure ease the pain, or help them eat if they can't eat, or help them with their AIDS or their immune system or whatever people are going to need the medicine for, they should have a right to it. And I don't think it's right to charge people out-the-ass prices for a little gram of a weed that grows up, you know what I mean? Like,
well, speaking of money and living free and all the groovy things that cash provide, we are also in need of cash. That's how we pay our bills here, is take a commercial break or a sponsorship break. Then I like to entertain my ears with a groovy tune about how wonderful marijuana is and put a spotlight on some of the amazing artists here in the marijuana movement who, instead of chasing after Billboard awards, are chasing after freedom and ending prohibition. After that, we will come back and pick up where we left off here at Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
Serious Seeds is your source for quality cannabis and sativa seeds. Serious Seeds are the creators of legendary strains like AK-47, Bubblegum, Chronic, Cali Mist, and White Russian. The AK-47 is probably the most awarded strain on the planet. The high THC content of AK-47 makes it the perfect medical strain for patients seeking quick pain relief. Cali Mist is an almost pure sativa. Female medical cannabis patients have reported that this strain helps relieve menstrual cramps. Serious Seeds just acquired another Dutch high-quality seed bank, Magus Genetics. From now on, Serious Seeds can offer you even more award-winning strains. The fine folks at Serious Seeds strive to breed the best cannabis genetics that they can find, so patients can rely on the effectiveness of their medicine. Go to SeriousSeeds.com to grow your medicine. That site again is SeriousSeeds.com.
Get your smoke on, everybody gather round. My connection came to town. He's got chronic, don't you know? He came straight from Mexico. Buy an eighth or buy an ounce, but here comes the 5-0, so you better bounce. Get your smoke on, get your smoke on. Light up a joint and make it fatty.
Get your smoke on. We do that here at the Big Broadcast. That is truly one of my favorite tunes. I love the harmony. I think the lyrics are tight. It's borderline cheesy. It's like a 1960s The Munsters TV show kind of music, but it still rocks and it gets a good message out. And yes, when it plays here on the network, I am always dancing around my house and taking Time for Hemp. You are listening to the Big Broadcast here on timeforhemp.com, Tumblr, SoundCloud, and of course, iHeartRadio. My joint host today, KDK Distributor, can help you get your smoke on, or should I say help you get your vape on. Yeah, baby! And I'm going to let him tell you about that now. Kelly?
Yeah, free vaporizer. Yeah, imagine that. And yeah, it is free. Not only do we give the vaporizer away for free, we'll even pay to send it to you. That's how good that offer is. And it's a fairly simple situation. What we're looking for is for people to enter is the requirements are you must be a medical cannabis user, meaning you use cannabis medicinally, whatever that may be for. That's A-OK with us. And we're looking for people who essentially are in a income bracket that simply can't afford a vaporizer, and which I know are a lot of people in the industry. They're on assisted income of some variety, disability pension, welfare, whatever the case may be. They're all extremely low income, and I know that these people find it difficult just to pay rent and buy food, let alone purchase their medicine, and certainly dream about owning a quality vaporizer. So we offer one. We give one away per month to a lucky recipient, and you can be anywhere in the world where you may be listening. We do have devices to fit different electrical situations. So wherever you may be, don't be afraid or scared if you're listening. And if you're not one of these people who are on assisted income and simply can't afford a vaporizer, certainly you know someone maybe who could. And it's super easy. Again, all you have to do is send an email to Kelly, Kelly, at kdkwholesale.ca. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and of course, some hopefully a telephone number we can contact you in case we pull your name out of the hat. And we do keep the names continuously in the hat, so to speak. So if your information changes, certainly send us a new entry, and we'll go from there. Love to hear from you. Love to give them away, and we know when you get them, you'll be loving using it. That's a for sure.
It is an awesome vaporizer. I know Kelly and his wonderful team sent me one a couple of years back, and it has not only paid off by making my herb last longer and making it taste better. There have been times when I have been in, silly accidents and have hurt myself to the point where I had to use a pipe, and cough would cause me even more pain, like if I cracked my ribs. But when I use my vaporizer and utilize my vaporizer with my herb, I'm able to consume my medication and take care of the pain and not add to the pain. Thank you, Kelly, for making that possible for me as well. It was very gracious, and anybody listening, it would behoove you to get your name in the hat. Gentlemen, I'm going to let you get back to your chit-chat there about what goes on up in Canada, putting a spotlight on the amazing activists up there. Canada seems to be, in many ways, the leaders in the hemp movement with all the hemp industry up there. Too bad the ass clowns in office are trying to take you back to the 1950s. But anyway, I'll let you get back to your chat there, and I'm going to hit my pipe and my vaporizer here on Time for Hemp.
I know you hit on the political there. Before you get started, Ben, I do want to mention one thing that has happened here on the political front in Alberta, which I'm sure you're well aware of. We recently had our provincial election, which would be similar, I guess, to your state, equivalent to your state elections. And we were under the conservative rule, which is the guys we don't like in our industry. They had a reign of terror in our province for 44 years. And that reign of terror has been knocked down by a different political party known as the New Democrat Party or the NDP. And I believe Albertans wanted to change as much as anything, and but it just goes to show you that the Conservatives are going to, I believe, also be in trouble at a federal level, because we're all tired of the many ridiculous things, mandatory minimums, the medical cannabis program, and all the other wonderful things they've been throwing our way. We're not happy with them, and I think this really, really hits to the heart of them, because Alberta has been their stranglehold for almost 50 years. And Yahoo! My motto was vote ABC, provincially as well as it is federally. I've been saying federally, but I also use it provincially when I say
ABC.
Please vote. It's ABC, anything but conservative.
Yeah. Even conservatives don't like the conservative government. You know what I mean? Like, my grandma's a conservative, and she's like, I can't stand that Stephen Harper and what he's been doing. He doesn't represent me and my voice. It's like, wow, he's running roughshod over the whole, you know what I mean? Like,
he certainly has been.
C-51, now we can't, they passed this bill that said we're not allowed to gather and protest anymore, and I don't even know. It's a big, complicated thing. I got to look more into it. I don't know about it.
Right. We have lost a tremendous amount of our rights since this Harper government has been in power. It's absolutely amazing. I honestly believe if they were, someone compiled it all and put it together and you presented it to the people, the average Canadian would be appalled at what has happened recently with our, with our federal laws. Scary. But we can, like you say, it should send a huge message federally to the Conservatives. What happened here in Alberta? This is their sweet spot in the country. Has been for almost 50 years. And when they lost their sweet spot, boy, they better be thinking about it on a federal level as well. It's big. It's really, really big.
Well, congratulations.
Well, we hope so. Now, you know how it is with politicians, of course, once they get in there, and as I like to say, belly up to the trough, sometimes things change a little bit. But we'll see what the NDP does for us, and I can't imagine it's going to be better or worse than the Conservatives, so I think they got a lot to play with.
I will share a theory with you guys. It's called the tomato theory. Any of you guys heard of it?
I have never heard of the tomato theory, but I do love tomatoes.
I love tomatoes too. Okay, so we're allowed to grow as many tomatoes as you want in your backyard. You go right ahead, fill your yard full of tomato plants. You grow big, tall ones or little cherry ones, whatever you decide to grow. Go right ahead, feed your family, sell them on the side of the road in little baskets. Fine, no big issue. Big corporations also have their hands in the tomato market, where they're growing the tomatoes. They're selling us fresh tomatoes. They're selling us dried tomatoes. They're selling us ketchup and chutney and salsa and tomato soup and tomato juice, and it's all there. All the different products that come from tomatoes, right? And even though we still are allowed to grow infinite amounts of tomatoes in our own yard, and a lot of people do. I know a lot of people grow a garden, and tomatoes seem to be the most popular one, right? So but that doesn't take away from big corporations' profits. They can still profit. They can still make millions of dollars on Heinz ketchup. It can still be a huge industry. If you apply that idea to cannabis, just let it go. 100% legalized. Free for anybody. Let the people grow it in their backyards, and let the corporations take it and make products out of it. Make it into oils, make it into cookies, they'll bake it into muffins, they'll bake it into whatever. They'll put us hair products, there'll be skin products, there'll be creams and balms and tinctures, and you know what I mean? They could turn into 100 million different things, and they could profits. There could be big profits for big companies. There could be big profits for government. There could be big profits for just a little guy who wants to grow 10 plants in his backyard and have his medicine, right? And I don't think that would take away if we were still allowed to grow our own, that's not going to take away from the profits that they could make as well.
No, never. What you're basically saying is throw it to the free market system, which is, when you consider basically every other product that you can grow is in the free market system. And like you say, there are big corporations growing it. There are little mom-and-pop operations that are growing their organic tomatoes. There are people who are running businesses, local businesses that run greenhouses here in Alberta. Of course, they can't run year-round because of the severe winters. So there's the huge guys, like you say, the Heinzes of the world that are moving a lot of tomatoes. There are medium-sized. There are small organic-sized. There's medium-sized greenhouses. And then there are small organic operators, and then people are growing them on their own in their own yard. So it's
like some niche markets, like for like these yellow tomatoes, or you go to the side of the road where this farmer's got it set up. He's got a specialized variety. They call them yellow babies or yellow daddies or something like that. I saw yellow tomatoes the other day. I grabbed a couple.
Or heirloom tomatoes, or whatever, beefsteak tomatoes. Sure, there's who knows how many varieties of tomatoes. I'm sure.
Just like cannabis, right?
Yeah, you bet. No free market.
Let it go. Tomato theory. Let our people have our plants.
Let everybody benefit from it. The government, the population, and business. Like you say, let it go to free market. Yahoo! Yeah. Let's elect the Liberals in the federal election and see if that can happen.
Yeah. I ran provincially when
did you?
Last provincial election here in Ontario. I was a Freedom Party candidate.
Nice.
I got about 170 votes, which is kind of shitty for my area, but hey, at least I could say I did it. It was an experience. I tried it. I ran along with everybody else. I had my little commercial on TV. It was cool.
Nice.
I don't think I'm going to do it again.
Right. Well,
it's good. It was a good experience, but it was kind of when you've got this left-right paradigm, everybody's either going to vote Liberal or Conservative or NDP, right?
Right.
Not too many people are going to vote Green, even Green Party, which is, they're recognized and everybody knows about them, but nobody votes for them. They get like 2% of the votes.
Right, in most ridings, but did they not elect the Green Party gal federally there in Vancouver or Victoria, something like that? The party leader?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think she got her seat, the party leader of the Green Party.
Yeah.
First time ever in the last election. Yeah.
I used to think Green, and I started to look into that, and I was thinking maybe I was going to go to the Green side, but they're really they're like this cap and trade and want to tax, and I think sometimes that's a corporation's way out. When if my factory is allowed to pump out so much pollution, after the cap, any more pollution I pop out, I'm going to be taxed on. Well, fine. I'll just run that pollution into the air. I don't give a shit because it's just an extra cost. I'm going to make millions anyways. Like, it's just part of the overhead. I don't think that really does anything. Charging all these big corporations for there should be some different penalty. I don't know, cap them in the legs or something. Like, I don't know, but like charging them extra money for their pollution isn't doing anything.
Yeah. Well, usually hitting them in the pocketbook is where it hurts the most for most people, especially large corporations. But the problem is they don't hit them in the pocketbook hard enough to make it a detriment.
It hurts. You know who it hurts the most? The little guys, the smaller or medium-sized businesses. If they get caught with these fines, and these fines can break them, but these big guys, I don't care about fines. The Schnecky factory is pumping out all this rubber shit into the stream. Schnecky doesn't care. If they got to pay a fine on that, who cares? They sell billions in sneakers every year. But if the farmer, he's just farming his land, he gets caught with the pollution thing, it's going to kill him and his farm. Have you heard about the Monsanto seeds, where they're sort of taking, they have a patent on the seed gene, but the seed sort of proliferates and gets into everybody's field? So if they find that you're growing these Monsanto seeds, that you have to pay for it, right? So Monsanto's been, like, they sell them the seeds. The wind blows from my field over into your field. Now your seeds have been pollinated by a patented gene, a patented seed gene. Monsanto comes and samples your seeds and finds that you're growing Monsanto seeds now because mine blew over there. Then now you have to pay Monsanto and buy their seeds.
I know Monsanto is a giant that is going to take a lot of effort to try and deal with as we move forward into the future. And it's a very scary path Monsanto has put us on, and what they have are massive and have power and money, and they have it all right now. And it's going to take the people to break Monsanto. So as more and more information becomes available and all that kind of stuff, and the people react and move and voices are heard, nothing will happen until then. Monsanto will continue to grow and bury what they find they don't like and encourage what works for them, not necessarily what's good for us. No interest at all.
Well, as you go cannabis, a lot of different cannabinoid profiles are being patented by the U.S. government. Patenting, like they patented CBD, cannabidiol. I don't know if you know, but like the medicine in cannabis is not only THC is one of the main medicines, but there's like 200 other cannabinoids. They have these weird names. I can't remember them all. There's like CBD, CBN, CBC, and THCA, THCV, THC9, all these different things. And that's why every plant can affect a patient differently. Every different strain can be good for one person or may not be good for another person. You find what works for you the best. It's the cannabinoid profile and the way it's working inside your body. The government is like patenting all these different cannabinoids. It seems to me like they want to like separate them and extract them and sell them in pill form or something. You know what I mean? That seems to be the most conservative people think. Well, can't you just get it in a pill? Where do you got to smoke that?
Yeah.
Well, one thing we can't get in a pill is cash. Well, I guess you could if you're on the street selling them, but we don't do that here at Time for Hemp. Instead, we have sponsors that make it possible for us to be loud, proud, and strong. And please share this website with your friends, because Time for Hemp, like a good joint, is best when shared with friends. You are listening to the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network. Please share us with your friends.
THCF Medical Clinics are the premier physicians clinic in the United States. THCF has offices all across the United States from Hawaii to Michigan. THCF Medical Clinics has helped approximately 150,000 patients obtain their medical marijuana permits to legally possess, grow, and use medical marijuana. If you have chronic pain, multiple sclerosis, or any other neurological degenerative disease, or if you have any gastrointestinal disorders such as GERD, irritable bowel syndrome, or if you have AIDS, cancer, spastic disorders, seizure disorders, or glaucoma, call us at 1-800-723-0188 or visit us online at hemp.org. Again, the number is 1-800-723-0188 and the site is hemp.org.
Well, let's had a bowl, good green reefer, big fat Jones beef, much sweeter. Mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Just mighty don't hide it. Mighty don't hide it. Well, I don't hide it. Fire it up right now.
Yeah, fire up right now. No, don't light it. No, don't hide it. Be proud. Come out of the closet. Let the whole world know that you are a medical marijuana user, and recreational use is groovy too. As long as you stand shoulder to shoulder in the foxholes with us, there's a good chance that we could end this war on drugs. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem. We have people on the program today who are parts of the solution. KDK distributor founder Kelly Kristen, he and his team do an amazing job with the marijuana movement. Lots of great products that they provide for stores. They're at the events. They show up at demonstrations and marches. They are leaders all across the country. And then we have also on the horn today, Ben Fudge, who's not only a great activist, but has been presented an award by the Oshawa City Council. And I'm going to let him tell us about that and let Kelly and he get back to their joint chat here on Time for Hemp. So tell us about your award there that you got there from the Oshawa City Council.
Okay, well, there's a special city council meeting once a year dedicated to accessibility. And it's all by accessibility, I mean, making Oshawa for everybody, people who are blind, people who are deaf, people who use a wheelchair, people who use a walker, short people, tall people, people who don't understand English, and people who can't read. So it's basically, people with special needs. So I work on Oshawa Accessibility Advisory Committee to advise City Council about people with special needs, and we sort of give them advice on what needs to be done. I work on a built environment subcommittee, which deals with like the front door, making sure that it's flush, making sure a wheelchair can get in the front door, making sure there's a power operator on the door, making sure that the washroom is accessible and that the bars are in there, there's a spinning radius, and we'll just go in and sort of, they call it a building audit. It has nothing to do with money. We're actually auditing it for accessibility features. We're going to do that. And I'm on a communication subcommittee, which deals with how people communicate with one another, like online or in printed text or teletype, or a lot of deaf people are just texting nowadays. So the communication subcommittee deals with that. And now I mentioned already we formed this medical marijuana working group, and we're dealing with that issue within City Hall as well. So I've got a lot on my plate going on. So I guess somebody recognized, like, wow, look at all the stuff Ben's doing. And I received a Resident Accessibility Recognition Award for providing assistance to people with disabilities living inside the city of Oshawa. I was pretty proud. I
would say so. Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
I got to go and they presented it. I got to shake the mayor's hand, and the newspaper guys were there taking pictures. It's pretty cool.
Right on, right on. Well, obviously, very much deserve it.
It keeps me busy. Like, I actually really love doing what I do. I really like auditing a building. I really like going outside, and when I see like a sidewalk that doesn't have the cut, that's what we do. We make sure that every sidewalk is cut so people can get across. We make sure that every sign is visible. Make sure that every elevator has braille. Every washroom has braille. Make sure that things are a little bit easier to understand. Not everybody understands everything. Some people don't. It could be written right out in front of them. They can read, just don't understand. Like, things have to be very simple for everybody and easy for everybody to use.
Well, that's awesome. So, that's... I don't think we have anybody like that in Calgary. I think that's a fantastic to go out there and just point out those things where there's not a sidewalk that's all of a sudden inaccessible, or whatever the case may be. I mean, it seems to me that there would be a lot of different accessibility issues, not only necessarily people with that are in a wheelchair or use canes like yourself, but visually as well. If you're blind or can't see very well, do you have chiming lights so that they can understand when it's safe to cross or when the light is green, or do you have any of that going on in Oshawa?
Yeah, we got these new tactile strips. They're kind of neat. They're kind of like an orange strip with two types of bumps. They're big bumps that you can feel with your feet even when you have shoes on.
Right.
And there's little bumps that give it more grip so that you don't slip all over it, right?
Nice.
And when a person comes to the edge of the road, right before they're going to cross the road, you step on the tactile strip, you feel it, even through your shoes. I'm at the edge of the road, and you know where you are.
Right.
You go right across, and then when you get to the other side, you get on the next tactile strip, I'm done crossing the road.
Nice.
I just actually recommended we put one of them in yesterday. We were auditing a creek path. We got these trails that go through the city along the creek. And where the path crossed the road in one spot, it's all asphalt. Asphalt path, asphalt road,
asphalt,
no curb, no nothing.
Right.
So if you think about, like, maybe you're looking down, not paying attention to everything around you, you're just walking on that asphalt, you could easily just walk right into the road. So that tactile strip in that position there is going to be a good thing.
Yeah, you bet. Because like you say, it's just asphalt to asphalt to asphalt. You're not. Nothing's changing. There's no step. There's no gravel. There's no grass. There's no bridge. There's nothing. It's asphalt to asphalt. Like you say, it's easy to slide it through. Now this tactile strip that you talk of, I've never heard of it. It sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. You probably
Hello.
have this thing called the AODA, the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disability Act. And the AODA says that Ontario is going to be fully accessible. Every business has to be fully accessible by 2025. So a lot of places, I don't know what's going to happen. A lot of places are going to have to change.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, we are down to the last couple of minutes of the big broadcast. This gives you a chance to give a shout-out to your websites and favorite organizations or any events coming up. And we'll start.
Well, we have Oshawa Cannabis Day, Saturday, July 4th. It's going to be our 7th year this year. And I've been really busy doing a lot of other things this year, but we're still going to do it. I almost was thinking about quitting, but so many people have been saying, don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. I'm not going to do it again this year. I would like some young buck to come take it over for me. Somebody who has more drive, the way I did 9 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, take that over and do a really good job of it. Take it off my hands so I can move on and do other things, right?
There you go. Anybody listening in Oshawa?
Yeah, all the help. We need all the help we can get out here in Oshawa. Get something going on out here. There's the community is here. The base is here. But a lot of people in Oshawa are still hiding in their basements, and they don't want to come out because they're afraid of the cops. We got to show them cops. We're not afraid. We're just people. You can't treat us like that anymore.
That's true.
What else you got going on in Oshawa? You guys got any websites to shout out? I got no websites to shout out.
All right, okay. Kelly, we pass it over to you.
For the medical patients, wherever you may be in the world, who could benefit from a free vaporizer, please send me an email, Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, at kdkwholesale.ca. We want to hear from you.
And I'd
like to probably give a shout out to my friend Allison Murden, because I look up to her a lot. She's helped me a lot over the years. My friend Marco Ivan Chechevich, who sits on the committee with me, and he actually does a lot of the work. Marco does a lot of the work, so I'd like to thank Marco for everything he's ever done. And I'm going to get him to watch the show now, or listen to the show, so he can hear that.
Well, certainly tell him that I said hello. I know Marco also very well, and he's got me involved also out there in Ontario a couple of times. And yeah, he's a great guy without question.
And Allison is the joint host of the Pace Radio Show here on the Time for Hemp Global Broadcasting Network that airs 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time every Monday night. Al Graham is the host. Allison is the joint host every other week. Then every other week, we have a gentleman. His last name is, I think it's Owen Smith, is the individual who's the other joint host. And you can tune in, and you can also download all the archives from the timeforhemp.com website. So if you find a program or a host that you particularly enjoy, you can listen to all their past shows. Also remind people that we are a team here at Time for Hemp. and we are working diligently to get the message out. And remember, the next time you hear me, you'll know that it is time for hemp.
Look at all that money, yeah, the money that they spent. Take another look and spend some time for him. Don't cut trees for paper, cause it hurts the environment. Stop deforestation, yes, it's time for him. Whoa, an acre of hemp makes 20 bales of oil. No need for pesticides to poison all our soil. People got no food, they got no clothes, they got no rest. Well, time for hemp! Yeah!
Free? Did you say free? Free hemp? Free hemp? Free hemp video and audio? Free downloads of all the top artists, all the pot artists on planet Earth. Interviews with all the people making the movement, making the hemp movement. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp. That's right, world. It's time for hemp.